not thought of yet. All right, so what is posture? This is just a scientific definition. Position or attitude of body or bodily parts that requires minimal muscle energy to maintain efficient function of joints with musculoskeletal balance. And that is from the National Posture Institute, which is the NPI. Basically, our posture is producing the least amount of stress possible on our joints while keeping us upright. The biggest thing that goes into effect with posture is gravity. That's why as you age, you constantly see people, they start up and they slowly start to go down. Gravity is pushing down on our head. So if you start to lean forward at all, gravity is going to push you down further and further and further, which is going to affect your balance and your gait. If you're already leaning down, naturally, with your center of gravity, you're going to want to keep propelling forward as you're walking. So there in turn, it affects the balance. So very important to focus on. All right, so what does posture affect? These are the different systems of the body that posture affects particularly. Cardiovascular, musculoskeletal, your GI, and your nervous system, just to name a few. Cardiovascular. A lot of people know people, if they do not have it themselves, with a cardiovascular or pulmonary diagnosis, COPD, emphysema. Whenever you have COPD, you have something called a barrel chest. So you round in like this. As soon as you round in, your diaphragm cannot fully expand, pushing out on your ribs to get a full inhalation or full exhalation. So what happens is you start to use your accessory muscles. Use your shoulders to help you breathe. And then you can just get further and further down. So you're not getting full breaths in or full breaths out. So that is how it affects your cardiopulmonary system. Your musculoskeletal, your joint range of motion, your strength. If you're bent over, you're not going to have full joint mobility. Your GI system, same thing. No matter how your posture is, if it is skewed, it is going to pull or push against your internal organs. That's going to affect your gut health, your pelvic floor health, everything. All right, nervous system, our nerves innervate our muscles, therefore it's going to have a direct impact on your nervous system. All right, that's just a comparison chart, so correct posture versus incorrect in standing versus sitting. All right, types of posture. I was nervous about preparing this because everyone, especially the people I know that are here, has such different types of posture. So it's hard to really go on every one single little thing. So the first one is sway back. So that is whenever your pelvis sticks forward like this and your back goes in. Your center of gravity is thrown off because your center of gravity goes through your head, your shoulders, and then it's having to shift back and then go back down. So whenever you have this kind of posture, what's going to happen? Everything up here is going to get overly stretched. Everything here is going to get shortened. So my muscles here are stretched out. My muscles here are shortened. Then that's going to cause me back pain because everything is compressed on my lower back. Then it's going to cause me balance issues because I'm going to want to fall backwards instead of upright. Lumbar lordosis, very common one. Sometimes women just naturally, if they're born with bigger bottoms, have this. It is that pelvic tilt right here. So it's going to do like this. Same thing. It puts the most compression on your lower lumbar vertebrae and your sacroiliac joint. It's going to stretch everything here, shorten everything here. Next is kyphosis, which is the most common with the aging population. Because what happens is our head goes forward, our shoulders round in, and then we have this beautiful hump back here that we can't seem to get rid of. That's going to cause our neck to hurt, our upper back to hurt. That's going to cause us shoulder issues because we can't move our shoulders very well. So that's really the most important one, the most common that you're going to see very often. Forward head, same thing. Your neck is sticking forward, putting the most stress back here, stretching it and shortening up front. And then just an example of good posture, standing upright and erect with the least amount of pressure to the joints. All right, ergonomics. I just wanted to throw this in there because it is such an important part of posture. That is just our posture, like postural stability in work-related environments. So even if you don't work, this still applies to pushing, pulling, lifting, getting up and out of a chair, sitting. We all sit way too much, big problem. We sit on the computer, we sit on the couch. What do? We naturally sink in. Our body is lazy. Like we're gonna follow the path of least resistance. What is the resistance? Gravity. It's gonna push down on us. We're in a comfy chair. We don't wanna activate those muscles, so we're gonna slouch down with our body. So in turn, being focused on, lifting, pushing, pulling, sitting, up or down, you're working on something, you're reading a book, you're looking down all the time, prop it up. So there's little things like that that you can do. Number one issue with necks is disc herniations. Disc herniations come from us looking down. Our generation, I'll say my generation in particular, we look down way too much. You never hear people hurting their necks from looking up, as we look down. And that's going to provide more and more stress to those vertebrae and to those discs in there. So prop the object up. If you're looking at a computer, put a book under it. Raise it to your eye level. If you're reading a book, put a pillow under you. Put a table under you. Raise it to eye level. There's so many things that can be done with such small amounts of effort. Same thing with driving. I'm guilty of it too, but everyone drives, if you're 9 and 2, up here. So if I'm sitting like this, I'm activating my upper traps when they don't have to be activated. Just relax your body. Just relax it. So it's little things like that make a huge difference in everyday ins and out, everyday facts of life. All right, posture, continue. Everyone's is going to be different, so therefore you're going to need specific, individualized exercises and treatment, especially if there's things that go into it, like, do you have bad posture because of pain? Or is it because you had a surgery? Is it just because general weakness? Normally there's one underlying cause that is going to, like a domino effect, affect the entire body. Once you get to that number one root cause, that is what you address first. And that starts with knowing the muscles as well. All right, posture muscles are spinal muscles, or paraspinals, erector spinae, hip flexors, or calves. That's what keeps us upright and stable. All right, muscle imbalances. If it's tight, stretch it. If it's weak, strengthen it. So knowing what's tight versus what's weak. All right, what can I do to improve my posture? Like I said, once you identify the number one cause for it, that's where you start. But don't stop there. That's what everyone has the biggest, deficit or difficulty with. They look at one thing. In our body, our spine, obviously, is all connected. So just because I have a sway back like this, I'm going to work on here. Nope, you're going to have to work up here too, because all of this got affected, and all of this is overstretched now. So take it one area at a time, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, go through the whole entire spine in order to completely address those deficits. Because just because you have one issue, the muscle imbalance is created throughout the body to compensate for that, therefore are crucial. You could correct this, and you're just going to say, oh, but I'm still having shoulder pain. Oh, my neck's still bothering me. That's because you didn't address that as well. You didn't fix that as well. So learning how to fix that, very important as well. I put just a few basic key exercises in that little folder for y'all. I know everyone is going to have really different issues, and so knowing exactly where to start. Once you get about 3 or 4 exercises, if you do those on a daily basis, that is where you're going to start seeing the most improvement. And then 2, if it is pain related, obviously reducing some of that pain first before you try to make those gains is going to make a big difference as well. That is all for this slideshow. If you have any specific questions for me, y'all can ask, and if I can help anybody.